Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural Muddy Dugout podcast. One of your hosts, my name is Keith. I'm with my partner,
Craig. Welcome to the podcast.
Yep, and welcome to the podcast, and we're here to bring you a season full of fun, fun in baseball. We have a ton of really great things planned for you guys throughout the course of the year. We're going to put some interviews together. Actually, we already have for you, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. And then we're going to maybe get some players on, talk a lot of baseball, maybe even some family stuff. Me and Craig are both dads, so I'm sure some stuff like that will probably come up along the way.
It might come up this episode. It might very well come up this episode.
It might come up this episode. You're 100% right. So, we're really looking forward to this. This kind of started, I'm going to let Craig get into that in a minute, but this kind of started as an idea I think that Craig honestly had, and I'm really going to let him dive into the history of how the Muddy Dugout podcast kind of started and came in front of you today, and who better than the man himself. Craig, why don't you go ahead and...
Yeah. So basically last year I had the idea. I'm a big avid podcast viewer. I watch a lot of podcasts, Joe Rogan's of the world and whatnot, Theo Vaughn's, and I'm big into podcasts. And I thought, maybe I could do something, right? My initial plan was I was going to do something, and I kind of wanted it separated from my team per se, but I wanted it about the league in general, because I developed a lot of relationships, especially in the South where my team plays, and I felt like there was definitely I don't want to say a market for it, but an opportunity there to sort of engage. And as much social media engagement that I see on Instagram and other social media platforms, there's an opportunity there, and I saw that, and I wanted to sort of jump in. And I'm good at talking, I feel like, and I felt like I could do it. And then once I started it, I had a baby. And I thought I could do it, and by myself, it was impossible with a newborn. I just did not have the time with baseball, with my work, with the baby. It just became too much. So this year, when I spoke to Mike, we talked about maybe getting some league support and some league backing, and I told him I need a partner. Like, there's no way I could do it alone, and I'm in the South. I'm kind of isolated from... I don't have everyone at my disposal. I have a network in the North. So I wanted a partner from the North, and then that's where Mike suggested Keith, and I was like, yeah, let's get him on a phone call. Let's see if he's interested, and that's when Keith jumped in, and, it's so far, I think it's been a pretty good partnership, and I think we have a lot of good things going on. Like you mentioned, we have interviews, and, we've started engaging already. We've got some breaking news on some of the interviews, so looking forward to finally posting, and again, starting that engagement, getting guys talking, and then other than that, man, opening day just passed, so we're recording this right after opening day, and I mean we're 0-1 unfortunately, but it was a good game, heartbreaker, but good game. And baseball's back, man. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for the podcast, and let's go.
I think everybody's excited. I luckily got on the other side of that. I'm 1-0, so we're pretty happy about that. But I think everybody's excited. I got to be honest with you. Whether it was at the kickoff party a couple of weeks ago, which you're going to hear talked about in our interview with Mike and Tim, or even on the field and interacting with some of the other managers, and even my own team, which kind of surprised me a little bit, have all asked me about this podcast. Like, hey, when are you guys going to post your first episode? When are we going to be able to listen to it? A couple of my guys are like, hey, I drive 45 minutes to work. It's perfect. I'm just going to listen to it when I go to work, and I'm really surprised and excited about the excitement that I see from everybody in the league over this podcast. And we've, like Craig said, we put some things together. Mike reached out to me about it. I couldn't say no. I've never done a podcast like this, but it was exciting to it's an exciting endeavor to try, and I think we've gotten off on a great. I think our our first few episodes you guys are going to see, I think, are awesome. I think the interviews went really well, and I think it's really going to, especially that first interview with Mike and Tim. It's going to really peel back some layers. We talk about this all the time, Craig, me and you do, especially when we were gearing up and prepping for that interview. As managers in this league who've been here for a while, we know those two. We know those guys, and we know how they work. We've had many conversations with them for many different reasons. But that's not the same side that our players see or anybody else really knows. So for them to agree, and naturally it makes perfect sense for them to be our first guests on this podcast, really I think is good, because it kind of shows all you viewers and listeners out there how the league got created, and how they're just two guys who had a like-mindedness towards baseball, and who thought, hey, we can do this. Maybe we can do it better. And they're no different than you are right now. So I thought that was really a really good eye-opening experience.
And I still do want to fight Tim sometimes over the phone. He makes me want to jump through the phone and fight him, and I'm sure he feels the same about me and a few other managers in the league. And I loved him, but that's sort of because managers, we know him, so like if he comes off a certain way, anyone, when you're familiarity, sometimes you butt heads about certain things, and I know we as managers bother him. I mean, he's dealing with 30, 40, 50, now even more managers with the USABL.
Over
100, right?
Yeah,
and so
over 100.
We're dealing with about 20 players, give or take a few, right? So we get it too, but it's on another level with them, and so we always try to understand that. But over the years, I know you have 5-6 years in the league, and I'm on my 5th year. I started playing in 2013. What the league had just started, and they still had aluminum bats when I started.
Wow.
And I
couldn't imagine some of the teams I play against, aluminum bats.
Yeah, it's actually nuts.
Hurt pitchers.
Yeah, it's actually nuts when I think about it. But I jumped on with the Saddle River Swingmen. That was my first team in the NJABL, managed by Bo Rivers, who's now suspended from the league. Something to do with non-payment, I don't know, but he was my first manager, and he's suspended now.
Bye, Bo.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I came back to the league, I actually reached out to him to see if he was still, and then I looked on the league website and saw that's probably a no-go.
Probably not gonna work.
But yeah, so I've been playing for a while, and I actually played in the North. I live in the North, but my team is based in the South. And yeah, so we both have sort of 5-6 years doing this, and we both had our own successes, our own failures. I've failed way more than I've succeeded, but I've had fun. I've had fun doing it. So this league is my life for about 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that goes for all of us, and actually that brings up a good point. Here we are, we're your podcast hosts, and I'm sure throughout the course of the season and whatnot, we'll talk a little bit about ourselves and our own teams and things like that. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to kind of make sure that we talk about the league and you guys and the teams and the players. And while we do have players and we are part of the league, we're not trying to get any extra attention on ourselves. But for clarity's sake, I guess everybody kind of understands. As I mentioned, I'm Keith, and I run the Bergen County Reds, which is a team in North Intermediate. And Craig over here is he runs his. Actually, you have more than one, don't you?
Yeah, I got
Show
2.
off.
I run the New Jersey Bullets. I got my first team, which is in South Premier, and then my lower level team in South Amateur. So Vega, we're coming for you, but yeah.
yeah, that's great. So just a little bit about us and kind of how that works. I did start in 2018, I think it was my first season. We were, I kind of got the group together, and then kind of managed them through that first year. Just like everybody else, we weren't very good, I'm sure, except for those random teams that are good that first year. And then it's it's just taken over since, and I've stayed around obviously and been a part of this now for a while, and now I'm even more so, I guess, just like Craig is. We're trying to help grow the league that we all spend our Sundays and spend our time on for like you said, 6 months. When it's time to play some baseball, which we're all really excited about every year. I know that.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say, generally most teams are not good right out the gate. But if there's one thing I can always impress upon new teams, stick with it. Like your first seasons, for generally speaking, most teams have terrible first seasons, unless you're playing with a group that happen to play all together in college and they're just sliding right into league play. Then those teams, they're usually pretty good, but that rarely happens.
A majority of players, not like 2 or 3. You got 6 or 7 guys who played with each other through college, and then you're just adding a couple of their friends. I agree with you. Those teams are generally pretty solid, but you're 100% right. Listen, there's a lot of new teams that are listening to this podcast this year. If you haven't heard already, you're going to hear it a couple of times, through our interviews. But the NJABL had a merger with USABL, so that brought some teams into the league this year, and there's going to be a lot of first-time teams. And he's right. Craig's right. You just got to stick with it. The one thing I will say is that they are very good at figuring out where your level is, and once they figure that out, they can place you in a great spot. So if you're a little over or undermatched your first season, that's not uncommon, and it'll adjust accordingly, and they'll get it right. And I've had that experience in myself. It comes up in manager meetings. It comes up. I don't know if it came up in the interview, but my team started as an amateur AAA team, and then we jumped up to amateur after a championship, and then we won another championship and went to the finals. They asked me to go up again, and I was a little hesitant, but we went up and we're fine. Like it's fine. It was probably where we really should be. So you just have to give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think that's a key.
For sure, I would say give it a spring and a fall. If you didn't do good in the spring, give it a fall, and
fall.
Gotta give it a fall. Yeah. Fall counts. I don't care what Tim says. Fall does count. You know what? Tim says fall doesn't count. But here's my thing with the fall, and I've seen it in this. I've seen it.
You just dropped a piece of information there. Yeah.
So Tim says fall doesn't count, and what he doesn't take into account is there are some super teams that come together in the fall, because you have superstar players that their teams don't play in the spring, and then they just find each other and find another established team to just jump on with. So like I guarantee any team that played us in the fall didn't feel like fall didn't count. Like we're kicking ass in the fall. So if you and that happens all the time. Like you have the Marlboro Mets that played with us every fall, and they're the same team from the spring, and the Somerset Cardinals don't play the fall, and they're a powerhouse, but that's just in the South. I don't know how you guys are in the North. Maybe you have, but in my experience, superstar players like Ryan Watson from the Somerset Cardinals is an MVP candidate every year, hits like 600, a bunch of home runs, a bunch of RBIs, and he just jumps onto a fall team, and now they just get a stud, and if they already have a bunch of guys from other teams, you end up having like these super teams form in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely merged teams in the fall for sure up here. I know that just last year we did it. Our team did it. We jumped in with the North Jersey Braves, and it happens. There's a lot of teams that kind of come together in the fall up here too. And, that's just a player availability thing. Yeah. I think if every team could break off on their own and do their own thing, they would. But the reality is, when you get to fall, there's football and there's other things. You just went through the whole summer, when you were out on the field on Sundays, and I think that guys just sometimes want breaks at that point. So.
Like me, I want to break.
You end up getting a lot of merged teams.
I want to break. I don't think I want to do fall this year.
I'll be honest with you. That's why I did the deal that I have is, I kind of, the guy who runs that team, that Braves team, takes care of the fall team, and then I have the spring team. So when it comes fall, any guy who's want to go play, they go play for him. He adds his own guys to it. He handles the fall. I handle the spring. And then we're in good shape. So that's kind of the deal that we have going on right now. So it works for us, and it works for a lot of teams.
I just want to be doing this in the fall. Podcasting, that might be the way to go in the fall. Just pay attention,
maybe that's
know
what
what's
we'll
going on, and And that's
Yeah,
it.
just know what's happening, and yeah, exactly. But like Craig said, we have a lot of really awesome things planned. As some of you guys know and saw us, we were at the kickoff party, live streaming it. A little technical difficulty there, but hey, it's all right. That's live. That's the world in live streaming, and we're learning those things. So we have.
It's just like baseball. You develop, you figure it out, and you get better. And
Yeah.
next week you come out and dominate.
Right, absolutely, and that's slowly but surely that's what's going on. Learning a little bit at a time. And we do have the intention of being at the All-Star games. I don't know if we'll be at every single one of them because there's a lot of them, but we will be.
I'm going to be at
some of them for
every
sure.
single one of them. I don't know about you, Keith. I'm going to be at every single one.
All right.
Talking shit, talking trash.
All right.
Talking trash.
Oh, talking trash. It's fine. I think we could. I think most of the people listening are adults. I think we're okay. I think we can probably get away with it.
Maybe.
The occasional curse is probably okay. Yeah. So we'll see. But so we're gonna be the All-Star games. Streaming live. Maybe we'll even do a little play-by-play. That could be interesting. I've always wanted to be the guy like doing a play-by-play where we're just having a conversation about something random, like so how was your Saturday? And then here's the 0-1, strike one. It was great, Keith.
Hey Keith, I brought my dog to the vet this week, and it turns out he ate a sock. Oh, strike two.
Exactly. I always thought that was so crazy. But yeah, so maybe we'll do a little play-by-play on a game or two or something. But we're going to encourage you guys to come see us. The other thing is, we're going to do interviews throughout the season, whether it's spring, probably into the fall. So again, we have a list of people who want to come on board, but if you're another one who wants to, please reach out to us by any means necessary. You can DM us on our Instagram, Muddy Dugout Podcast, and
which you guys really supported, by the way. Like within a few days, we got a ton of support. So definitely grateful for that. Definitely grateful.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. And that's also how you want to reach out to us for clips and highlights and great plays that you guys record. I'll tell you, man, first off, I am not an Instagram person. Like, I don't know a lot about Instagram. It's fair. Craig's shown me a lot in that front since we started this endeavor. But I didn't realize how many teams actually have their own Instagram. Like, that is crazy to me. That's awesome. I love it. But I love that it seems like more and more teams are live streaming and recording their games, or at least clips and portions of their games, at bats, maybe a pitcher or whatever the case may be. And that's phenomenal. I love that because I think that stuff can really drive views into the league and really accentuate how awesome the NJBL is. So please hit us up on our IG with DMs if you have clips and videos. We'll figure out how to get them. Once we communicate with you, we'll figure out how to get them. But we want to feature you guys in this. This isn't about me and Craig talking to a bunch of managers and players. This is about you guys. This is about getting you guys on here. We'll talk about the clip, who the player is, run through some stats. If we can put enough clips together, maybe we'll even do a highlight reel from a game, real Sports Center like.
Or if you create something, if you have creative guys in your team and you put something together that you post on your own page and you want us to sort of like repost it and show, like, I'm more than willing to do that. That's we're like you said, I'm not a great social media guy myself. I mean, I'm better than him because I've had Instagram wars, but generally, there's guys that are plenty better than I am. So if you guys are putting together clips and highlights, like, by all means, send it over. And we need clips anyway, because as you're going to see, if you already saw, our intro's kind of bland. It's kind of just me and Keith talking right now. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to add some bells and whistles and actually add some baseball into our videos. So I definitely want to.
That's actually a good point. Beyond just the clips and the stuff you want us to talk about, that if there's a topic or something that you guys think would be interesting, please share it. We're not going to shut out anybody's opinions or ideas. We're going to listen to everying, because
unless you're with the Marlboro Mets. If you're with the Marlboro Mets, I don't want to hear anything you got to say.
I mean, that's
joking.
Okay,
of course, joking.
I was trying to think of somebody who I have that kind of beef with, but I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. So Marlboro Mets, you're in trouble. But yeah. So, but also if you think that you can be of assistance or you want to lend a hand in some way, please let us know. And if there's a spot for you, right now it's kind of the two of us, and we've got a couple of sprinkles of people who are willing to help out here and there. But listen, we're always looking for extra help. It's always good to have people involved.
We get a producer who's like is really good at editing, and me and Keith just sort of do the talking bit and the scheduling. Hey, by all means.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We're always looking for something,
and we'll pay you just as much as we're getting paid for this.
Right, exactly. This is the love of the game, the NJBL. That's what it's all about. You don't get any special event other than maybe we'll get you on camera every now and then if you want to. We'll interview you. How about that?
You can be our Jamie.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we'll throw it to him every now and then. Yeah, Jamie, pull that up. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jamie, what? You know what? He's going to post the stats in the corner. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. It'd be great. It would be wonderful. But let's real quick kind of lead in a little bit. This is our first inaugural episode, and our first interview is going to be with the commissioners of the NJBL, Tim and Mike. This interview was.
Let's give some last names. Mike Mazzola, Tim Ritchie. Let's make it a little more official. These aren't just the Joe Schmoes.
Well, I've always known them as Tim and Mike. I've never really used their last names before, but that's a fair point. This interview went really well. I really enjoyed talking to those two. I've heard some of those stories I'd never heard before, which was really awesome. And I think you guys are really going to get a kick out of some of the stuff they had to say. We're going to put some clips up as it goes out, so you guys kind of know what's kind of coming a little bit. We're really happy with how it came out.
There were technical difficulties, so you will not hear a lot of me in the first episode and the first interview. But we figured that out, obviously, for now and for future interviews. But it still came out great, and we haven't decided yet on a specific day that we're going to be releasing every week. But once we do, we're going to try to keep a regular schedule as best we can, releasing and getting content out. But yeah, looking forward to putting the clips out, letting you guys hear the interview, because Tim and Mike, they come out, they break some news. There's some breaking news there, and they tell some stories, and it's a lot of good information, and you get to know these guys that run this whole thing. So definitely a good day once we finally get it out.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to try to keep it. We're not going to waste your whole day on these releases. So we'll have them kind of controlled. We're in the process of handling some of that stuff now. We're not going to release like a 4-hour interview for you guys to listen to. We understand you have lives.
Generally, it's going to be 3 parts if we can help it. Where it's going to be 3-part interviews, and you have something to look forward to the next week. And maybe Mike and Tim talk about your team, or maybe your division comes up, and maybe there's some news there. You never know. And
you're going to get to answer some of the most pressing questions that exist out there.
Yeah, like is spider tack legal in the NJABL?
Right. Yes. Is it? I don't.
It's not referenced in the actual rule book.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
fair point. It's interesting. Or who's better, the North or the South?
Definitely the South.
I don't know. I think it's the North. I think I'm gonna have to rep for the North here. I think it's the North. Does fall matter? We kind of already tipped that one a little bit.
Yeah. Tim says no, but it's obvious yes.
I don't know. So there's a lot of fun questions in there that we did for you guys because want you to get to know them and the league a little bit more. So.
Are the Reds going to go with sleeveless jerseys this year, or
are they allowed?
We don't know.
Are they allowed? I don't know. We're gonna have to listen to that one. See who won. I think one of them might have won an MVP, right? 1 year.
You know what? One of them did, and one of them clearly has the upper hand in his playing days.
Yep.
The other.
Yep. And the other one's a little bitter about that, I think. So maybe we'll hear some about that too. So it's really great. I think you guys are going to really like it, as we release it, and we appreciate all the support and all the help you guys are giving us. But I think we're going to lead right into that now. So I think next is going to be part 1 of our interview with the NJABL commissioners. I'm not going to say the last names because they've already been said. Tim and Mike.
All right.
Enjoy.
This episode of the Muddy Dugout podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, The Drain Doctor. If you're in northern New Jersey, that is Bergen County, Passaic County, and Hudson County, call The Drain Doctor for all of your drain cleaning needs. Tell them we sent you.
So you guys, I just want to make sure I understood the beginning of that right, Mike. You guys said you started off as rivals. Is that accurate? You guys were kind of on opposite teams, challenging each other.
And his Bulldogs team dates back to I'll say 2002, but it might have been further than that.
2001.
Wow. It's funny, right? Because we all have rivals as we work our way through our leagues.
So you guys were on the
teams
same
that you're
team
kind of
at the
equal
time?
with and whatnot,
Or you guys were
players
on
that you're
different
equal
teams?
with.
No, we were on separate teams. Like we got so we got to find a photo
Were you
of
guys
you
on
guys
the
from.
same
I
team?
have it
Yeah.
somewhere.
Same team at the time,
Like,
or different teams?
There is a uniform rule in our league because of Tim's
have that
team
photo.
in 2002.
Nah, it was 2004. We have uniforms with no sleeves.
2004, yeah, no sleeves. Sun's out, guns out. Like that was like there's a team photo. They were all like, and it'd be a great photo just to kind of like pop in here if we can find it. But no, he was on the Bulldogs, I was on the Barons, and we were pretty much like rivals. I mean, the Blue Jays were also in that league as well. The NJ Blue Jays, who are in our North Amateur, they date back there as well. And I think I was telling you guys, their manager at the time. I think he moved he was in Houston, but I think now he's in Miami, but he's playing in men's leagues out there too. Like he's a great guy to kind of like, you want to talk history. If the Blue Jays come on, like bring him on. Like he has stories against him, against me from like back in the day. Like, you want to get more dirt. I mean, Mike Williams is probably the guy you want to bring on along with.
I'm going to write that name down, Mike Williams, and that's the guy we're going to go find so we can dig up a little
you're
bit
fine.
more.
He's in Miami now.
So you guys,
We'll do.
Yeah. So you guys are rivals. That's how it kind of initiated a first, I guess it's how you got on each other's radar. And then obviously the NJABL was born shortly after that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to throw this.
Let's not stop there. Let's just not forget that, the biggest moment of us being rivals was me hitting 2 home runs and 7 RBIs off of him in a game.
I wasn't going to stop.
The trees may have been really close, but I did it against
The trees were like super close. It was like an overhang.
I still hit the 2 homers.
I
mean, he won the MVP that year for that.
We won the MVP.
That was a BS award,
And-
that should have been mine.
Still got it.
It should have been mine.
2003.
I heard
So
there was a
who's
rumor of
the
an
better
award
player
that was going to
between,
make an
between-
appearance here tonight.
Hey, he was good, and we were both good. I mean, I batted. Mike batted what, 3rd or 4th? I don't even know where he batted. in that order, 'cause that's the good order.
who was
Yeah, I don't know. I was probably 3, 2.
We were top of the order hitters in our lineups.
Tim, do you still play
I played in January
occasionally?
in a tournament. Yeah, occasionally. I played it in
Occasionally,
January
yeah,
in
'cause
Florida play when I can. I played last year for like 10 games,
Okay.
but I'm more watching my son play right now, so it's kind of gotten
Right.
dwindled down.
Right, Mike. Are you playing much or anything right now?
No, actually, and go back to what Tim was saying before. Like that, I hung him up after I think spring of 2011, and was focused more. I wanted to be around my son and didn't want to miss like firsts and stuff like that. So that was kind of where I was at. And then, fast forward to summer of 2012, like a year later, we're having the conversations about potentially going live with the league. And, I think it's funny, like, 'cause I'm like away from it for a year. I miss it, but then I'm back at it. I'm kind of running things with Tim, and it's a different, like, it's a different feeling, but it's still a good one. Like, I always loved playing baseball, but there
Right.
are other sides of the game that you can also enjoy, and it's like Tim, like, I'm watching my son play, my daughter's playing softball, so I love watching them on a regular basis. So I don't miss playing so much. I think the only time I really picked up a bat and played in a game was our fall All-Star games. So, like, we did fall All-Star games for a few years where Tim and I actually picked the teams, and we would go against each other.
That was fun.
So we would, like, mix ourselves into the games.
We would draft the All-Star team in the fall. And then it was a rivalry.
Okay.
It was a rivalry. It was a rivalry because we didn't do it by level. We would actually draft the players, and then we did it for like 3-4 years, and we had to. It was all about
Bragging
winning.
rights were on the table for sure.
I was all about that. Was fun though. Those were good times doing that.
What about All-Star games? Would you guys take? Why don't you ever do that? Why don't you ever do like a Mike and Tim All-Star side, like manager player type deal? Where I think that would be an interesting idea.
We did it.
We got too big.
Done it for years. It got too
like
we got
too big to do it. Like the fall, we would do it, right? Because the fall, I guess it was what, like 2015, 2016, like that time frame. There were only like 30 teams that played fall. 25, 24 to 30 teams. And some of the teams wouldn't send guys. So now you're talking like you can make 2 teams of 20 out of like a 24 team fall season. But when you get to like a 50 team season, it's harder to do. So that's really been kind of like, we stayed away from that because the managers do like to kind of come in and manage the games. And, we have no problem stepping aside for that.
Kind of just being a step aside. So we kind of talked about it a little bit. We kind of breezed over a little bit, but I think it's impressive, and I think it needs to be kind of talked about a little bit. More about like you guys and your feelings. But when you did that first season and you got 56 something teams, I think you said, what was you guys are probably thinking you were going to get like 10 or 12, right? So how did that scale work? How did that scale work from like, oh, we're going to have 10 to we have 60 teams? What was that thought process?
It was scary. Imagine having 50 teams to sign up and not know what field you're in. Think about that.
Yeah.
Not
too big.
I think we should start with how we approached starting the league and getting, and how we actually got, 80 people, I think, show up to the manager meeting, Mike, maybe that day.
Right.
I mean, we did, Mike said earlier, we advertised back in the day, and you guys might be too young for this. I don't know how old you are. Hitting Facebook, you could message anybody for free. So Mike and, we had a whole advertisement done. We built the website first, which cost us what, $300 to start it, I think, the website. Just a bit to get it going. We paid more after, but to get it going, they gave it to us for a couple $100. And we did an advertisement. We messaged we went online. We printed out every roster from every league, and we just publicly took public information. We did everything by the book. Your name was on public information. Everything you could find on the internet, we took, and we printed it, and we messaged every single player from every single roster our advertisement. And we spent, maybe 2-3 weeks doing that. I think we would just message everybody. That was when Facebook was big. That was before TikTok and Instagram and all of that stuff. So that was a huge thing that got us going. And then Mike came up with a really good idea of partnering with the Newark Bears. And that, I think, set everything off. And Mike, you can explain that, because that set things in motion, because once he announced the partnership, and we did I believe it was a press announcement.
They had a press. Yeah. So this was actually the last season that the Bears operated, pretty much. I'm pretty sure that it was. We went to them in the league that we had like previously played in. We used to do All-Star games at a minor league stadium. We used to go out to Skylands Park in Augusta, out in like Suffolk. And it was a hike, sure, but we were playing in like a pro stadium. It was part of the experience. And then over the years, that kind of was taken away. And part of like our discussion in starting the league was we want to bring that back. We want to have that element back in Sunday league baseball because we think that our peers, like, they deserve that, right? So that was part of our model. And we approached the Newark Bears, and they were pretty much like on board with it. So, we came to terms, made a deal with them. I forget how many games. We must have had like 12, 15 something games at Newark's Riverbank Stadium, which for me was great because I played baseball at Rutgers Newark. So that was my home field. So,
and we're talking about
regular
season games.
We had regular season games there. We had our kickoff event was there. So we had 2 games back to back, which opened the league up. And then everybody else, I think, started the following week.
And I think we ran a charity that game. We raised money.
We did. There was a charity element too in that game. We sold tickets and everything went to, I forget which we selected for it, but we had an agreement with them. They said there was a press release about it that made it very real for everyone in the area. And we held our initial manager meeting live from one of their meeting rooms at the Newark Bears stadium. So, we had 70, 80 people show up, listen to us talk. And, the league was pretty much born at that point. People actually showed up and they brought like deposits for the season that day.
Yep.
So we left there pretty much with the league already kind of ready to go. And the calls just kind of kept coming in, and we were able to kind of build it the way that we did with 52 teams. We had, we did 3 levels.
Yep. 3 levels. That's how we started. And amateur, intermediate, and premier. Just 3 levels. That's it. Now there's what?
Do part of you wish that 13? It would go back to that simplicity of 3 levels? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I bet it does. I bet you wish, man, if we just had 3 instead of,
you're
12,
both an example. You're both an example of why we would wish, why it was easier then, because both of you have moved up reluctantly at first, moved up and learned that, oh wow, we can play at this level.
Right.
And that's where we have our problem in our levels. People are scared to go. So because we built them and they like their competition.
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's 100% true. We were amateur AAA, amateur, couple championships and a championship game. And then we moved up, and I think our first year in intermediate, we found ourselves in that championship game. We lost it, but we were there. So you're right. And that's a big factor, I think, in what's so successful about this whole thing is that you recognize the teams and you see the ability of the players, and then those teams and then moving up and moving them into the right place to make it the most competitive league you can get a hold of, which I think is right. Valuable, extremely valuable, because listen, it's fun to go out there and anybody who tells you it's not is lying to you. It's fun to go out there and beat up a really bad team because, you just won 14-1, but at the end of the day, we want to be competitive. That's why we're doing this. And I think that's a big factor in all this. And so let me ask you a question. It was interesting. I didn't know about the Newark Bears thing, and that was kind of surprising. At any point, have you guys ever approached any other independent teams or minor league teams about other, partnerships or anything since the Newark Bears have since unfortunately folded up?
Well, the Bears were that was our spring 2013 season. And from there, we went right to the Somerset Patriots that fall. So Patriots was always pretty much where I think we wanted to be because the location really made sense for the North and the South. It gave us I felt like there was plenty of parking. Newark was your side street parking. Once it's filled, it's kind of where am I going to go? But Somerset had plenty of parking. And they took care of us. That was a home for us for many years. We would have all-star games at the Patriot at TD Bank Ballpark pretty much through, what was it, 2020, maybe?
No, I passed that.
2021?
It was a year. It was a year. We finished when the Yankees took over. We stopped having games there.
Right. Because we got priced out is what happened.
Right. Yeah, I would say that's
and that's the
2020, I
unfortunate.
think. It was COVID, because I think around then is when you guys stopped. Because I did go down there at one point for an all-star.
But we did have games but we did have games in the fall.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
I think we had one game.
We did.
We have like a game here and there in the fall.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then they
But we
pushed
were-
the pricing to 6,000 a game, maybe.
It was like 7,500 a game. And like pricing just tripled on us. And it was basically, it was like, look, we can't do this. Like, we can't really operate a league if we agree to do this. And that's when, with everything, it's like, all right, well, Newark went under. I think that's that area is like apartments now or condos. We had played Yogi Berra before. We have done that. We have gone that route before. But it's kind of like bare bones in a sense. Like, you got to bring your own announcer. You don't can access the scoreboard. There's like certain things that, the perks that we had at TD Bank, we didn't get there. And, Tim and I, we just talked about it. We're like, all right, look, there's really no other stadiums in the area that we can utilize. Like, you don't want to send teams from Bergen all the way to like Trenton potentially. And you don't want to send players from Monmouth all the way to Rockland, to play games. So what's an alternative for us? And kind of like had the idea of what we're doing now is, going to a park that could have two games going on at once, but then trying to bring in vendors, trying to, make it more of a celebration of the best players than just, an all-star game at a stadium where like half the time, like what we found out later in, I guess, our tenure there was that some teams didn't want to send guys. Like, the best players weren't showing up. And it wasn't really the best players in the league that were showing. But now, like, we will reinvest the money that we would have put into what we're doing at Weequake. And we now have like a whole run derby. We now have some vendors that show up. There's food vendors that show up. We have DJs. So we're trying to evolve it every year to kind of like keep it exciting. But we're kind of always open to a great idea that would benefit the players in the league. Obviously, like, we haven't really talked about it yet, but we've grown a bit over the past 3 months that, there's a lot more players coming in. So ideally, it's like, if you have a space that can accommodate everybody and we can have multiple games in a day, let's talk about it.
So, and Keith, you know how you were asking about the 52 teams, or maybe it was Craig, I was asking, how did I feel? That's how I feel today with the 40 plus teams coming in. Like the same scenario. It's kind of like, do I have the umps? Do I have the fields? And it starts in 2 weeks.
And that's what I was that's kind of where I was leading, because, when you look at where it was then and where it's going and where it is now, I mean, we were obviously going to touch on this subject, and that's that kind of merger that you guys had with USABL. I guess that's the right word we'll use for it, merger. And how that's kind of impacted this season and going forward. Obviously, it dumped a bunch of teams into the league here at NJABL, and I guess you're feeling the same way you did back in 2012. I guess with all these extra teams, right? Is that? I mean, how many?
Yeah.
How many real? What are we at now? Because I know there were some teams the last time we had talked that hadn't really committed. So where are we at teams wise this year? And then what's kind of how you feeling about all that?
Just spring, right? 120.
No,
just spring.
Spring, it's either 118 or 120. Like, we're kind of like, we think we have 120, but we're so we'll say 118 right now.
And then you add in your summer teams later.
Right.
That's going to
that
be
doesn't
up
include
another
summer
30.
or midweek.
Midweek. Yep. Well, how do you feel the USABL teams are going to fit in with the established NJABL teams? Like, how do you think that's going to fit in as far as talent, skill, ability? How do you think that's going to work?
I think you have that talent and skill in some of, a lot of the teams. I think what we did was we tore it apart and put them in the right spots. I think that was what was the key to that. I've been working on like Mike doesn't really talk to Brian Delahunt a lot. I don't know
Go
what I
ahead.
said, but Mike didn't talk to Brian a lot. I've been pushing Brian for a couple of years to just give me one league that I can mix together. I've been trying to ask him, like, we don't have to merge anything. Just take your teams and my teams and let's mix it together and see and like make it like some cool little thing. And then, I just went back to him this year and I'm like, why don't we do this? And then he's like, let's just do the whole thing.
He finally agreed to do it.
Yeah. And, he's got 1,000 kids team. So, I mean, it's too much work, but the teams coming in, we ripped them apart. I had a conversation with every one of them. I mean, Mike was like, I spoke to like all of them to see, who they were, what they did, explained our rules, our level rules. I mean, I've spent, I don't know, 2 weeks straight on calls with these teams to try to get them to understand what we're doing, how we do it, and to put them in the right level. So most of them are Central Jersey teams, which is what we needed to fill Central Jersey to help with the North. So, because any Union teams, we could push North and fill spots, but when you don't have it in the South, you drop those teams to the South, essentially.
Right.
So do I think they're going to be competitive? Yeah, I think that they're going to, them coming over changed the landscape of Premier right off the bat, with the Aztecs coming in.
Okay. Well, how did it change that? How did it change that?
Well, we picked up a couple teams and it helped build the South. And like we might have lost the team if we not pulled in the Aztecs because they were looking for different competition.
Okay.
So they felt it was getting stale. So by us doing this, it changed their mindset and they came back, and I think that's what really was the number one factor for Premier growing back up to where it's at now. Obviously Mike spent a lot of time talking to teams up north that were key, to filling some of the north, but that these teams, they're going to compete where we put them. And that was my point when I spoke to them is like, yeah, you went 3 and whatever last year. I put you in amateur. Your 3 games is probably going to turn into, 8, 9, 10 because you're facing 80, 88 miles an hour because you're the worst team at a 1-level league or a 2-level league,
Right.
So it changes the landscape for them too. So
listen,
we'll do
good.
well with it.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that, and again, we talked about that before. That's one of the things that the league's always done well, in my opinion. You two have always done well is kind of placing teams where they need to go, even if I maybe didn't agree with it at first. But
don't get me wrong. Me and Mike, you guys don't know about this, but me and Mike on the back end, we have arguments all the time about moving teams around. I want to push teams up all the time. He's like, we can't do that. You're going to piss people off. I mean, we have. But it counterbalances what we're doing because I'm pushing things certain ways and he's pushing things certain ways and we make it work that way. We're not just 2 guys that agree to everything. We do argue on the back end about things a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I argue with my bosses and my coworkers all the time about like plans and things. So that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, everybody has passions and opinions and to express those is normal.